And again, love the intensity combined with the composure of both athletes.
In the blue gi, Bruno Malfacine of Alliance. In the white gi, Thalison Soares representing Cicero Costa.
Definitely seeing a bit of a feeling out moment here. Who's going to be the first to get the grips? And we see a double guard pull here.
Something really important to note as well is not just the fact that the Malfacine and Soares, they faced off at the European Championships in 2020, January 2020 in Lisbon, Portugal. But prior to that, Thalison actually had spent some time in Florida training one-on-one with Bruno Malfacine. And I suppose when you're in the same weight class, there's always the kind of the implicit understanding that, hey, you know, we're probably going to face off at some point in the future, but it's good that they can put that friendship to one side for the 10 minutes necessary to go at it here at the World Championships, and I'm sure everything will be good later. But that does mean that they will have a pretty solid understanding of each other's games, of each other's strengths and weaknesses, of their favorite techniques and so on. So
yeah, like I was saying earlier, it's interesting, like at this point, because athletes are not bringing a lot of surprises. They've either competed together a lot before, they've trained together a lot before, and
or they've watched each other on flow.
Or watched each other on flow a lot, or their coaches have studied. You know, it's not really a level of surprise at this point. It's a level of strategy, of the mentality they're bringing to the match, the stamina they have today, the technical improvements that they made since we've seen them last. And earlier, just so you guys, if you can't see the scoreboard, there was not a double guard pull. Okay, the referee considered Thalison the initial puller, which means that coming up on top was just assuming the correct position for Malfacine.
We should be able to get the scoreboard up on screen in just a minute. Sorry for the delay on that one. But we're
So
just
it's
coming
just
up to
0-0.
the 8-minute mark. Oh, here we go.
Just 0-0 here. And we see a very similar usage of the lapel being brought through that we saw from Pato in the last match, used by Thalison. But Bruno doing a great job with his right hand controlling the sleeve, so that Thalison cannot either pass the lapel to his other hand. Oh, we see him trying to do so now. He's trying to pass the lapel over, but hard to do, and Bruno's controlling his sleeve so well. And it also brings Thalison's shoulders off the mat and takes away a lot of the rotation that he has. And now a lot of pressure coming down from Bruno, but not enough. And Thalison still has that lapel. He brings the left leg into the armpit, kind of off balances Bruno a little bit here. And now his right foot comes through in that like lasso lapel style. He looks like he was about to come on top for the two, but really just adjusted the footlock grip with the right hand and hasn't. Oh, and now we will see him assume. Oh, almost. Looked like he was assuming top position. He did end up with an advantage for almost coming up on top. Definitely could have been intentional just to get the advantage as far as the strategy goes. But now the referee actually calls the advantage back. And the reason why is there are typically no advantages for sweeps from the 50-50 position. This is a little bit funky because he wasn't fully in 50-50 on the sweep attempt, but it was close enough to consider the advantage to be taken back, probably by the refs watching on the sides. Nice, so some big pressure here from Bruno. He's trying to use his right hip to kind of smash Thalison's knees towards his face. He doesn't want Thalison to be able to use his left foot on the hip or to bring it over for the lasso. So he's using his left hand to push that ankle down to compress Thalison's guard. It's very difficult to use a lot of power and extension of the hips when your guard is being compressed. So Bruno kind of stalls his action here a little bit by bringing his foot to his face. But Thalison's staying anchored in with that left hand on the collar, so even though Bruno's putting a lot of pressure down on the ankle, he's not really able to use the posture that he needs to drive his right hip towards him enough. But he's battling Thalison's collar with his own collar grip on the right-hand side.
He's such a strong, pound for pound, they tell us that he's one of the strongest competitors. He competes in this rooster weight division, and yet he's able to, as you can see here, just completely compress Thalison Soares. Got to reset here.
Maybe looking at maybe talking about whether this is considered close to a reaping position or not. We do have to be careful as the left foot comes over.
I think actually it was that Malfacine's toes were stuck in the gi. You know, the referee was able to free those.
I was going to say, I'm surprised they're stopping this, but I guess that could be why. But again, the toes make a lot more sense. Yeah. So again, with Talison's guard compressed this way, both by Bruno's left hand and also by his right knee, smashing into Talison's right calf, it's very hard for Thalison to get anything going. But because he has that foot lock grip, he prevents Bruno from possibly, picking his foot up and stepping out, from doing any backstepping passing here. He can't go to any kind of knee slide position because of Talison's right leg. So really just kind of stuck here in this smashed, compressed position.
I just noticed something very interesting is that Mario Hayes is actually in the coach's chair here, mat side. Every competitor here in these championship rounds is able to bring somebody into a mat side chair to coach them through these key matches. But just kind of the top left of the screen and just over to the left a little bit, you can't quite see them. But there is Fabio Gurgel, aka the General, one of the co-founders of the Alliance team, and he actually has a direct line of communication with Bruno there as well. So Bruno's actually got two very, very good coaches on his side for this match.
Yeah, two of the best for sure. So now Bruno's creating a little bit better of an angle. You can see he's starting to internally rotate his right knee, almost to go kind of towards a knee slide. Even if he wasn't able to pass this way, it would free the foot and give him the ability to do some more movement. He has to be careful, though, if he does really commit to a knee slide that direction, because it's going to open up the right side of his body, seeing as he doesn't have an underhook with his right hand. And Talison's left leg is totally free and open here. So fully upside down, again, compressing the guard of Thalison. But I like the usage of the left leg. I think that's a really smart play by Bruno to kind of stomp on the back of the hamstring. But it does open him up to be swept because of the off balancing. He doesn't really have a strong post if he does that. So this is another one of those positions that we kind of talked about earlier, where it's a little bit of a game of chicken or a game of patience. We see Bruno starting to get a little more frustrated now, I think, stomping on the back of the leg again. And
he wants to get out of this position. It's a tricky one because Thalison does seem to have the ankle lock grip wrapped with his right hand. His legs are up all the way over the top and crossed over that right leg of Bruno Malfacine. And Malfacine, he simply cannot get his lower leg free. He's absolutely stuck in position.
Yeah, so you see Thalison, I was going to say he has the ankle lock position, but it would be really difficult for him to tilt Bruno all the way onto his right side at this point because his weight is so far to the left. We saw him reach up with the left hand on the pant grip to try to pull the hips down a bit. But because his left leg is not able to push on the hips or switch behind and go back to, like a traditional X guard, he's not able to get that extension. And Bruno is keeping Talison's foot there with his left hand, right? So he can't really move that left leg. Now Bruno starts to control the sleeve too. Interesting to see if he's going to go back to stomping on the leg or maybe go for a knee cut or try something new. 2 minutes left in the match. We still don't have anything on the scoreboard, so it's easy to imagine that neither of these gentlemen want to let this clock run down any longer and just hope for the decision because it's been a very even match.
Well, we've got 2 minutes left in this match. There is no real advantage here. That is 0-0 across the board. No points, no advantages, no penalties, absolutely nothing. But now we see that the guard has opened up a little bit. You can see that Thalison bringing his right foot across and hugging it, trying to maintain control of Malfacine. If Malfacine is able to get free here, look for him to step on the gas pedal and go all out. We've got just over 90 seconds remaining in this match.
Yeah, absolutely. One big flurry from either of them would make the match at this point, looking for an advantage or a score. And Thalison did switch Bruno into like a classic 50-50 for a moment, and Bruno was almost able to free his leg, but because he's not able to step over Talison's right leg right now, his right foot is still a little bit trapped. I do think it's really impressive, though, to see the right hand kind of securing Talison's left leg on the shoulder. If Thalison can't internally rotate his knee, which he's trying to do now, he's going to continue to feel that pressure of his knee towards his face with Bruno's right shoulder. But Bruno's right foot still is stuck inside there, being locked in by Talison's right foot all the way up next to his face. So 45 seconds left. So I do think we're about to see some big effort from Bruno Malfacine. is going to go crazy trying to pass. That's my prediction here. And
I think that Thalison needs to make a statement, though, also. He needs to try and unbalance Malfacine. He needs to try and knock him off base and also show the judges that he hasn't simply been holding on, but he's been attacking too, because right now, neither man has had a significant attack, and this is, we've said it before, say it again, one of those matches where I would hate to be one of the referees, because trying to pick a winner in this match, very difficult indeed.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, a big movement from either athlete would probably make or break the match. I'm really surprised we haven't seen it yet. 5 seconds left, and no one wants to take the risk of losing, but you have to be willing to fight to win as well. So
well,
0-0
no
here.
Opportunity for either man to really score any kind of attack here. I think something of an underwhelming 10 minutes. You can see Bruno Malfacine really shaking his head.
Both the athletes kind of laughing at each other too, you know, probably saying like, man, I tried to get this going and it wasn't happening. So clearly they're friendly, you know.
Maybe a case of when they know each other too well and they kind of neutralize each other's games. But let's see.
Make too many predictions about what the person's going to do and start to get a little too reflective about the jiu-jitsu instead of just really going. So we're going to see here the best 2 out of 3 decision from the judges. And the decision will go to Bruno Malfacine.
Unanimous to Bruno Malfacine. So we have confirmed now that this roosterweight bracket gets a little bit closer. So Bruno Malfacine will enter into the semi-final against Rodney Barboza.
Yeah, really interesting match here. So it basically was a decision between, you know, did Bruno do enough to be aggressive on the passing, or was Thalison's ankle lock enough of a threat to warrant holding on to that position for so many minutes, right? So the referees saw it in the favor of Bruno. We'll see some replays here now too, some of the more significant
Tough match
moments
to show replays in, because honestly, you know, a 10-minute match with so little action. I mean, there was plenty of jockeying for position in those small battles as we've described, but
well, it's interesting too.
Lack of real techniques.
Yeah, well, what's interesting is they, you know, some of the sweeps in the very beginning, Thalison was a little bit more active, I would say, in the first 5 minutes. He did get an advantage for a sweep, and then it was taken away. We saw Bruno attempt a little bit of a toe hold here, try to get like a one-arm toe hold angle, and then after that, you know, Bruno came on top. He was kind of stuck in that ankle lock position for the last few minutes.